Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Podcast for Wednesday, May 19th, 2021. Here we are, middle of May, and the real estate market is continuing to show record number of sales, lack of listings, though, but the prices keep going up. We want to welcome to our podcast a real estate professional. You've seen him here many times. You've heard him on the podcast. You've heard him on our show, the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, heard every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 on Detroit's own 97.1 FM. Matt Bush. How you doing, Matt?
Hey, Harry. It's a beautiful day. The sun's shining. We got buyers. We got sellers. We got a whole bunch of business. So I'm excited. I've already, like I said, hit 3 appointments. So I'm loving to talk to you guys. Then back to the grind.
There you go. And also we have Lisa Lawson, the Google of the office, all things mortgage. We Google up Lisa Lawson, and there she is. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning, everybody.
And also today we are joined by Mr. Harvey Freed, the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show host, heard, as I said, every Saturday, 97.1 FM for the last, now going on 22 years starting this fall. Good morning, Harvey Freed.
Good morning. Thank you.
Yeah, so today's topics, which will not be limited to any one specific topic, because we like to throw 5 or 6 out there. Matt Bush, let's go in the way back time machine. Let's go back to October, 2020. A mere 7 months ago, right? 8 months ago. The predictions for 2021, you ready? Everybody wanted to know. Will 2021 be a good time to buy a house? Let's talk about that, because back in October, people wanted to know if 2021 will be a good time to buy a house, because they were wondering, will rates stay low and prices continue to go up? Let's talk about that, Matt.
Yeah, so we've seen prices continually tick up. It's like a roller coaster. So, prices are going up. I think when I talked to you guys, even a couple of months ago, the thing that's breaking ties right now in these multiple bid situations is who's willing to guarantee the appraisal the most. Everyone's offering ask, but who's paying, $10, $20, $30,000 guaranteed over appraised value? That's 100% what the change is right now. So we've got a lot of money just going into these. And, I'm fighting an appraisal right now. Right after this, I had to go find comps for a house that I'm helping to buy. And I'm going to do all the research for the appraiser because they're lazy. So
Hey, Matt, here's what I'm finding. Okay, let me tell you what I'm finding here. Have prices of houses gone up from 2020 to 2021? The easy answer is last year in October, you could have purchased a home, just say for $200,000. Prices are up 20 to 30% from 8 months ago. So an average house at $200,000 is now selling for $240 to $260.
Sure.
All right. And it's the law of supply and demand, right, Matt? I mean, what are we seeing out there right now? And are you seeing, and first of all, rates are going up, but they're still in the 3s. So if rates stay in the 3s, prices are going to continue to go up because there's a lack of supply. What are you seeing on the listing side, Matt Bush?
I think, we might be at the precipice of this or the beginning, but I'm getting more calls for people who are thinking about selling their house. So I don't know if it's just me or if it's my cycle in the business. I've been doing this will be my 5th year. So I don't know if it's my personal cycle that, the people that I was working with the first year are now kind of cycling into potential home sellers. But I'm having conversations with people and saying, hey, this is what your house is worth. And they're like, really? And they're saying, well, let's get it up. I mean, that's too much equity for me to sit down. There's a guy that I know that, he's kind of living with his girlfriend. And I said, listen, this is what your house is worth right now. This is what you owe on it. Let's put that money in your pocket and roll that into a bigger house for you and her. And we're going to market tomorrow with it, photos done, that staged, everything. So I think that we're beginning to see more potential sellers. And I think the dirty little I word is beginning to creep into people's thoughts that if they don't sell now, they might be missing out. So I see a little bit of an opening in the market, but not a whole lot. I mean, maybe that sliver of the door, you just see a little bit of light. but it's not wide open by any means.
All right, Lisa Lawson, you're shaking your head. You've been around this business a long time. You've been through many cycles. As Matt directly mentioned, this is a cyclical business. We are right now in the 12th year of a seller's market. What are you seeing, Lisa Lawson?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a housing shortage, but I kind of agree. All of a sudden, I'm getting a lot of people who are calling me saying, hey, wait a second, I bought my house 3-4 years ago. I have this cute little starter home in St. Clair Shores, and I paid whatever they paid, 110, 120, 130. They can sell that house, have so much equity that they can put 20% down on the next house. And these are people who probably put minimum down the first time around as first time home buyers. They maybe put 3% or 3.5%, and now they don't have to worry about PMI. They're going to have a lot of equity. And I think people are starting to realize that, this equity can really put them in a better position, get a lower payment, no PMI. And so I'm starting to get a few calls too for clients who've been like, well, I kind of want to find out what I could get approved for if I sold my house. So I think that although we're definitely still in a shortage, I'm hoping that these are positive, positive things that are going forward, so that hopefully people will start listing their homes this summer, and maybe there wouldn't be such a severe shortage as there has been.
Well, hey, Lisa, I think that's a great point. Harvey Freed, what are you seeing in your world? Are more people listing their houses? Are they holding off? The buyers are still having a hard time finding desirable properties? What are you seeing in your world?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're seeing, Harry. It's going to continue through 2021. We'll see it probably next year also. There's no magical wand that's going to produce 1,600 square foot to 2,500 square foot homes for the families out there that are looking to downsize. We know there's a record number of people that are going to be in retirement age moving forward. Each year we hear about that. And these families are looking to put their family homes on the marketplace and downsize. It's just not something they're able to do in this market. The new construction's having trouble catching up. And as we'll talk later in this conversation, the lumber and the cost of those homes, you might be downsizing, but the price of that home might not be lower than what you're selling. So at the end of the day, a lot of our seniors, our retirees are having trouble dropping down to that next home. So a lot of them have decided here just to stay where they're at now. They keep the property taxes the same. It's not helping our inventory situation, but that's what we really are looking for the next 6 months, maybe to the next 2 years.
And I think what Harvey just mentioned is crucial. We've got a log jam in these ranches, which have typically been like first-time home buyer, starter houses. Everything's on a level because that's, what a first-time home buyer could afford. But now the people that are in these 3,500 square feet, 5-bedroom, 4 baths, they're trading down to those because they want to just be on the same level. So now you've got first-time home buyers competing with these, trade down or settle down home buyers who have cash, who have all this liquid that they can get a bridge loan, or they already paid their house off. So they're just buying this other house cash because they know they're going to sell their big house. So we've got a log jam at the ranch, what used to be the starter home. And that's kind of what I'm beginning to see is there's an opening up of that, that trade up house. They're a little bit more on the market. They're a little bit easier to attain right now because everybody is going the opposite way. So, if you're looking to trade up, if you're looking to get into that 2,500 to 4,000 square feet, find a school district for your kids that, is better than the one that you're in. This is the market to sell your starter home and vault yourself into that better school district, that more space for your family, be it just a bigger house or maybe a piece of land to where you're not on top of your neighbors in a subdivision either.
Yeah, Matt, what do you think about this? I'm going to open up this to the panel. I'm going to go to you first, though, Matt. What do you think about this school of thought? There are the people out there that are going to say, Matt Bush, Lisa Lawson, Harvey Freed, you know what? I'm going to wait till all this passes. This is insane, irrational exuberance in the real estate market. We have never seen anything like it. The lack of inventory, prices skyrocket. You know what? I am just going to hold tight and I'm going to wait it out 2 to 3 years. And then I'm going to take a look and then I'm going to make my move. Matt, what do you say to those people?
I guess it's really dependent on the audience. I mean, if it's somebody who owns their house and they're looking to trade down, I would tell them they're absolutely crazy because rates can't go anything but down or go up from here. So as interest rates go up, that's less money that a buyer is going to be pre-approved for. So you're going to get less of a sale price if you're looking to sell your house. If you're a first-time home buyer, I can maybe understand because I don't want to have my clients spend 30 grand more than the appraised value and have negative equity to start with, especially because I don't know what's coming tomorrow. But if you're trading down from, you know, what we were talking, a 4,000 square foot house, we're going to sell it for 600,000 and you might spend 200 on a house that would be maybe 180. That's stupid to not get top dollar for what you can right now if you're selling. So if you're selling and then buying, I think that's crazy talk to be afraid of the market. If you're just jumping into the market, I can understand your apprehension, but still, I mean, what are you paying in rent versus what you'd be paying in your monthly mortgage? Like, what's your break-even point?
Yeah, Lisa Lawson, you've got to be hearing that from your buyers, right? Do I wait? They're asking you and Harvey, what do we do? Do we wait it out? Lisa, what do they do? Do they wait it out?
It's hard because I've had buyers who've been looking already 6-9 months. They've put in 10, 15 offers. You know, their offers are strong over asking, you know, with appraisal guarantees and whatever else they have to do. And they're not getting them accepted because it is extremely competitive. And they come to a point where they're just kind of feel beat up and worn out. And sometimes it's okay to take a break. It's okay to take a step back and be like, you know what, we just need a few months to kind of recoup. You know what I mean? Maybe the summer isn't the right time for them and they'll reevaluate this. Sometimes they want to wait till the late fall, winter. And I say, well, that's better because the people who are going to be buying at that time are very serious buyers, right? So if you're going to sell then, this is probably somebody who isn't just kind of dipping their toe in the pool to see how much they can get, you know, and I can relate to that, especially for first-time home buyers. But, you know, I guess the biggest thing is we try to prepare them and let them know this is an extremely competitive market. It is not common to go out and make an offer the first time on the first house that you see and love and get that offer accepted. If you do, consider yourself excruciatingly lucky because that really isn't what's happening right now. And, you know, patience is key. You're going to have to be a little bit patient to get the home that you want, but it will happen. It's not that it's never going to happen. It's just probably going to take a little bit longer than it's taken in the past. But obviously,
hey, sorry about that, Lisa. Hey, Harvey Freed. I'm a 40-year-old and I've got 2 kids, 1 8 and 1 7, or 1 8 and 1 6. And, you know, we're in our starter home. It's just getting too small for me. But these prices are insane. There's not a lot in the market. What do we do? Do we wait 2-3 years or what do we do, man?
Well, I think you give it a try. We definitely know that they're going to sell their house in a day. Matt Bush would have 100 offers on that home. So we know that's not a problem. And they're going to maximize their profit. So if ultimately their goal is to move to that subdivision, that next step up, as Matt said, probably $250,000 to the $400,000 price range, I say you get your house sold with that seller's contingency, Matt, that says that, hey, you're my buyer. My house is sold. Now I'm confident. I know what I'm getting. I got a little contingency. I can really go out aggressively and look for homes and then set that up. You might stumble, Matt. A lot of times we say that a buyer might stumble upon a seller who's building that new construction house and they're okay with waiting or holding off for another month or two. But Harry, there's no doubt they're going to be paying a little bit more, but they're going to get a little bit more for the sale of their house. So a little bit of good, a little bit of bad, but at the end of the day, you get to live in that house. And that's what it's all about, is having that nice house for your kids to enjoy and your family to enjoy.
Yeah, Matt, let's address that. Matt, let's address 2 things that Harvey said. Number 1, I sell my house because you're going to sell it in a day or 2 or at the most 3 days because I'm going to have 17 different offers on it. Okay, but now I've got nowhere to go, right? I've got nowhere to go. How long can I stay in my house for?
You know, I'm seeing 60 days is common. It's advertised in the listing that the seller is going to stay in the house 60 days post close. And, you know, when you get those 17 offers, you've got buyers who are picking up the tab for the seller to live in that house. So, you know, it's crazy. I mean, I've seen it to 60. I mean, there's some loans that aren't going to allow it past 60. So that's really the cutoff. And again, that's where you're going to have to talk to your mortgage banker about that. But when you've got that pile of cash, like, let's just say, you know, in a circumstance, you know, I bought my house for 120, I sell it for 300. I've got 180 grand cash in my pocket to where I can put so much down that I don't need an appraisal, because banks are waiving appraisals because I'm only, you know, borrowing 40, 50% sometimes, to where I can go buy a $360,000 house pretty much half in cash. And I'm the strongest buyer in that market. So, really sellers are kings. And what I would tell, to Harvey's point is, if you sit down with that potential seller and say, hey, listen, if we wait 3 years and, the interest rate is, 4.5 instead of 3.5, this is what you're paying every month. At 3.5, this is what you're paying every month. So essentially you have to buy a house for $350 as opposed to the house that you're going to get at $400 to $425 now versus then. You're not going to be able to get as much house in 2 years when the interest rates go up. So you're in a better position on your monthly payment to go and fight the gauntlet now versus, and who knows if it's going to be a seller's or buyer's market at that point to where maybe you're going to get less for your house. So then you're shopping for less, you're not going where you want to go.
Yeah, Matt, let me address one thing with you on that note. And then I want to ask you another question about new home construction.
Sure.
Okay. What's wrong with this? I'm a seller. I have a boatload of cash because you got me the maximum amount, not only highest and best, but you got me over. You got me 20 to 30% more. I have a boatload of cash. Yeah, I have 2 kids. I have an 8-year-old and I have a 6-year-old. But let me ask you this question. Nobody wants to move twice. However, what's wrong with signing a 6-month lease on an apartment and moving into an apartment, putting your stuff in storage, taking your time, and I have a boatload of cash. What's wrong with doing that? Other than the hassle factor, what's wrong with doing that?
To be honest, I'm actually having that conversation with a couple of clients who are considering, they bought a house that was too big for them, or they just bought a house that was really big as a starter house. And now the houses all by them are going crazy. And they're like, why don't I just rent for 2 years? The interest rate that I'm saving, I can take that $200,000 profit, put it in the stock market, and I'll make 6% on it as opposed to losing 3%. You never know.
Yeah, I like the fact I wouldn't be, and I'm going to go to Lisa Lawson on the next one after we talk about new construction, but I'm not adverse to going ahead and starting my new school year, renting an apartment, taking my time, taking a deep breath, putting my stuff in storage. Yeah, it's a hassle, but you know what? Things will calm down in my world if I'm not in a hurry. And I don't want people to make rash decisions and be in a hurry, and just everybody needs to chill out and think rationally because most of the market is irrational right now. Matt Bush, let's talk about new construction right now. So you know what? There's a lot of new construction going on, but it's being held up by lumber and labor. Lack of lumber and lumber prices going up, and labor, getting people out there to build those houses. Do you know right now, and I've got it on both ends, I have realtor and builder partners that are telling me, and our clients are telling me that their lumber packages have gone up $25,000 to $30,000, Matt Bush, on a new construction. So let's say I'm building a new house, and let's say I signed the deal at $259,900. They just got a notice that it went up to $279,900. That's their all-in purchase price. So there's an addendum that came across that said, due to rising lumber costs, we are going to have to extend this purchase price now by $20,000 to $279,900. I have the addendum on my desk. I don't believe. So the question is, are they gouging or is it real, Matt Bush? Is it gouging or is it real?
I think it's real. And I think it's going to be that way for probably the next 2 to 3 years. And I think that's what's one of the things that's increasing pre-built houses. Like I think that's what's, growing the current housing market is, building a house used to be an alternate option to going and buying somebody else's house. But now that's really not that economical of an option. So in theory, going and buying a house that's already been made, 5-10 years old, you're just going to spend that money anyways. You're not going to have a year-long headache. So, that's not much of an option any longer is to just buy the raw materials and build it yourself. I had a buyer consult in April with a couple. We were looking at buying a property up in Washington by Romeo. They identified a builder. They saw a house that they built in Lake Orion. It was like $470 all in on Lake Orion that closed in October of 19. The guy sat down with us and said, it's $550 just for the house. And that's just before we talk finishes. So we're talking 30 to 40% across the board on everything. Because I mean, bricks, masons are expensive. Finding concrete to pour right now is almost impossible. So, I saw a thing that said, the average deck cost about $9,000 last year, and it's costing almost $36,000 this year because of lumber. So it's just absolutely crazy across the board. And it's what's kind of buoying our market and our pricing is because that's no longer if you're not going to sell me your house at a reasonable price, I'll go buy my own or build my own. All right, well, good luck with that. And you're going to spend double now.
Well, I think it's Econ 101, the supply chain and the demand going on right now. Lisa Lawson, what do you have on that?
Yeah, I was going to say lumber's definitely up. I mean, you could get a 2x4 for $2 and change a while ago. And I literally was at Lowe's 2 days ago and it was almost $8. I mean, so that's a crazy increase. Yeah, it's insane. Sheets of plywood, the 1/4 inch that you used to be able to get for $6-8, they were $32. So obviously that is a huge increase. And there's a building material shortage and skilled labor shortage. So, the idea that you can build a house, absolutely you can, but longer the days of it's going to be done in 6 to 9 months, it's going to come in on time and it's going to come in on budget, because these addendums, like Harry's talking about, for these people who already have an existing contract, because of this increase that's being passed to them, it can change things. And what if you were at your top of your approval and all of a sudden you get this addendum that's going to be $30,000 more and you can't afford it anymore? There's a lot of other overlays that are going on here that we need to be concerned with. And, I just heard on the news and that like right now the labor futures, like lumber futures are only allowing pricing to get locked in for 90 hours. It's not even a whole week. So they can't even buy and get enough material and hold a price under contract for months because they're not allowing it to happen because of what's going on with all this, lumber shortage. So not that building isn't a great idea, but just be really prepared for the ups and downs that are going to come with it and kind of make the assumption that price is going to go up by the time you're done. If you're good with
Harvey Freed, you have built as many houses as people that I know. You're the expert on new construction in our office. Okay. What do you say about what's going on? Have you ever seen it like this in your time building houses?
Well, not really at all, Harry. It's as Lisa said, let me give you an example. Roofing companies would come to your house and give you a quote for your roof. After they ripped off your second or third layer of shingles, they would find out that plywood was all soggy and needed to be replaced. Harry, it was only $1 or $2 a board. As Lisa said, those boards are $25 to $36 now at your big box construction place where you're going to buy your lumber. So it's just insanity that, look, the builders are extremely happy. They spent a ton of money buying land up over the last couple of years. Your large builders across the country have been buying land up. But those prices literally, I talked to a builder earlier this week and last week, and he said the same thing. There's no end in sight. The same thing that they could have built a house for last year, that same house, I think he said $47,000, something like that was the increase in the same model that one of our clients is moving forward with. So we don't see any end. It's interesting times. The last couple of years have been very interesting. So we'll just look to see how things shake out on the interest rate side and how many more families, now that the pandemic is starting to soften up, will list their house so that Matt Bush has more homes that he can show his buyers.
Excellent response, Harvey. I think anybody that is building a house should look to capital mortgage funding. We have the experts here that have built many homes during our career of over 32 years. I think we really can go ahead and pontificate and give the appropriate advice and be extremely objective about it. Let's talk about refinancing. So what's going on now in the refinance market is that do you believe with a strong refinance transaction year of 2020 that just about 50% of the people, Lisa Lawson, that can qualify for a refinance transaction of their home have not refinanced? I repeat, have not refinanced. So you know what I'm going to say. Rates are in the 3s. What are you waiting for? I mean, it's unbelievable. Rates are in the 3s and you haven't refinanced. If you're going to stay in your home and go ahead and make those home improvements, you're going to add on. You're going to have that in-ground pool that Harvey Freed loves to talk about. Okay, what are you waiting for? Why are people waiting to refinance and either lower their rate or borrow more money at the lowest rates in history to take advantage of making those home improvements? Why are people waiting? Why are your people waiting, Lisa Lawson?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't have that many people waiting. I have a couple, but the reality is it makes sense. Sometimes I have a guy who's planning on selling this summer. He called me just around Christmas time and said, should I refi first? I said, no, you're literally going to be selling in 6 months. So sometimes it doesn't make sense. And we obviously are looking to give the people the best advice. Rolling in closing costs and increasing a payoff when you're going to sell in 6 months is just going to eat into the net profit you can make in a few months. And so there was no reason for that. And we couldn't save them enough to make up the difference. So obviously you want to work with reputable people who are going to give you honest answers. But if you plan on being in your home for any, length of time, a few years to, decades, or this is your forever home, you really need to evaluate refinancing, because everyone has this idea like, well, you shouldn't refinance unless someone told me, I was told I should never refinance unless I can save at least 2 points. And I said, so if your rate right now is 4.5, you're going to wait until it's 2.5 on a 30-year, because it's not going to happen. And it hasn't happened.
Well, that was the old adage, Lisa. That was the old adage when rates were 15%. Okay. Right. That was the old adage. This is new. Exactly. We're at 3.5%. Harvey Freed, why are your people waiting to refinance when 50% of people that are eligible to refinance haven't done so? What are your clients, when you say to your clients, hey man, listen, your name popped up, you're eligible for a refinance transaction with us, what are you waiting for? What are they telling you?
Harry, this list says that I got a whole bunch of people to call. Yeah, I started making some calls yesterday and got a couple of emails back already. I'm not sure. I don't think I can answer that. The pandemic, some people were out of work. Maybe they're just getting back to work. We are offering mortgages for anyone out there. Self-employed, if you qualify and meet the criteria, you qualify. So I guess my answer to that is, Harry, whoever hasn't refinanced should definitely do so. And we need to keep reminding people that there's an opportunity out there to save money and move forward.
Excellent. I'm going to wrap up the show in about 2 minutes, but I want to give Matt Bush. Matt Bush is going to be a guest on our show this weekend. He's been a phenomenal guest and a source of information for many years now. Matt Bush, Realtor Extraordinaire, will be on the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, hosted by Harvey Freed, this Saturday from 9 to 10, 97.1 FM. Matt Bush, give us your final thoughts for today, May 19th, 2021.
Yeah, so I guess I've been kind of banging this drum for probably a good 6 to 8 months. Now is the best time for a family that you've kind of discussed early here, Harry. You're kind of busting at the seams out of your current house. You bought a starter house, 3 to 4 years later, it's worth, 50% more than the value that you bought it at. My neighbor, I've lived in my house for, it'll be 7 years now. My neighbor bought his house in October for twice what I paid for mine. There is generational wealth in your house right now if you're about to be a second-time home buyer. So take that equity, invest it in your family and your future, and buy that house where you can put your kids in better schools, where you have more activities for them to do, where you can see yourself growing and retiring, and build yourself that nest egg. Real estate is the greatest way to set your family up for financial security. And there has never been a time since maybe World War II, before then even, that families have been in position to take that equity and do that. So if you're even on the fence, if you're concerned about, well, where do I go? How do I go about doing any of this? Just pick up the phone and call Capital Mortgage Funding. Call me at ReMax First and just start the conversation. If you have questions, just let us know and we'll walk you through the process. We'll talk you the pros, the cons, and we'll set, hey, this is what you can do, or this is where you can stay. And if you trust us, we'll explain where all your options are. We can move forward. If it's not for you, it's not for you, but at least give yourself and your family the information on how you can be successful and you can set your family up for years, decades, maybe even generations down the road.
Great advice, Matt Bush. Lisa Lawson.
Yeah, just to reiterate what Matt said, this is an opportunity. We haven't seen anything like this in my lifetime. And it's just a phone call. After the phone call, you may decide this isn't right for you. You don't want to refinance. You don't want to move, whatever. But at least make the phone call and get the correct information and educate yourself, because this could be an opportunity, like Matt said, to really grow wealth in your family. Whether you're taking cash out, whether you're taking that cash out to save for future, you're taking cash out to make improvements to your home, taking cash out to consolidate debt, Or if you decide to sell your home and upgrade or downgrade and downsize, this is the time to make those phone calls and have those conversations, because there's never been a better time to do any of those things than right now.
Excellent. Harvey Freed.
My last thoughts are definitely listen to the Hardcore Mortgage Show this coming Saturday at 9 to 10, where we're going to go over all these things that we're talking about today. These topics are very, very important to your family's success in moving forward. Matt said it best. Owning a house, home ownership has been proven that if you're a homeowner, your opportunities to gain wealth are just a lot better than renting and throwing your money out. And the statistics right now are not only are you trying to buy that first home or that next home, you're fighting against all the investors out there, because the investors have realized, the landlords out there, that if they buy that house before you do, they're going to charge you rent. And that rent's going to be a lot more than your mortgage payment. So go out there and buy that house before you're constantly putting yourself into that behind the landlord offer. The key is home ownership, build your own wealth. Don't pay your landlord's mortgage.
Listen, I want to thank you guys. I want to thank this panel, specifically Matt Bush. Thank you, Matt, for always being available, always passing along your knowledge. We appreciate it. Lisa Lawson, the Google of our office. Lisa's got all the answers. If she does not know the answers, she will find them for you. Mr. Harvey Freed, and I am Harry Glanz. But also, I want to thank Roberto Beauchesne, our producer and director, for producing our show, our podcast every week. He does it twice a week. He's the greatest. Ladies and gentlemen out there, you are in a very competitive real estate market. And no time have we seen it this competitive in the last 32 years. Also, home prices, yes, they're going up, but rates have come down significantly since the early 1980s. Why do you bring up 40 years ago, Harry? Because it's relevant. It is relevant because you can buy more house now, even though the prices have gone up. You can't, if you're in the market, there is no time like the present. Let us be objective for you. We're going to tell you whether you can afford it or you can't afford it. People sometimes don't like what we have to say because we tell you the truth. That's why this show and our podcast and our everything that we do is called the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate and Business Show. So for Matt Bush, Lisa Lawson, Harvey Freed, Roberto Beauchesne, this has been the Hardcore Mortgage Podcast for May 19th, 2021, everybody. Thank you very much.